Before I get started with my actual early Oscar ranking, I want to get one take I have out of the way. And that is that no matter what film ends up winning the Palme d'Or and then the second place prize at Cannes, those two films, for me, depending on their tone, if it's a really weird film like Titan, probably not. But if they seem to be a conventional enough film, those will become some of my favorites to win Best Picture and just win a lot of Oscars. I believe very strongly that this year, the Palme d'Or winner is going to win Best Picture. And obviously, if it ends up being a weird film, I'm going to have to change that take. But supposing that it's like a relatively conventional film that is accepted by modern audiences enough, in Hollywood enough, I think it's going to win Best Picture. Anyways, to start off with my honorable mentions, I have one hot take honorable mention, Mufasa, just because of Barry Jenkins, to be honest. We also have A Real Pain here by Robert Zemeckis. It just kind of seems like an interesting film. I know Zemeckis has not really been on his game since like the 90s, but still, you never know. Bird by Andrea Arnold, Gladiator 2, and finally, Juror No. 2 by Clint Eastwood. All of those are my honorable mentions. And now to actually dive in to my Oscar ranking list. Very early Oscar ranking, but here goes nothing. We are starting off with The Piano Lesson. It's based off of the Broadway play, or I think it's a Broadway play. And Malcolm Washington is directing. The cast looks absolutely stacked. I'm really excited for this film. This seems to be Netflix's big Oscar contender for the year because they always have something. And for a while I was putting this list together and I was like, wait, what's Netflix gonna have? And I realized, I guess The Piano Lesson, and maybe something else will come up for Netflix later down the line. But right now, this seems like the most feasible movie for them to get a lot of Oscar nominations for, and we'll see how that turns out. Moving on, I have Joker, Folie, Deux. And before the trailer dropped, I would not have put this movie on this list. But the trailer was really good. It was a really good trailer. And the cinematography looked incredible. Lady Gaga looks to give a wonderful performance. Joaquin Phoenix is back on his game. Yeah, I was doubting this movie for months. I was a Joker 2 pessimist to the max. I expected this movie to suck. But the trailer did win me over a bit. So I gotta give it that credit. That's why I have it at number 9, but that's also why I don't have it any higher than 9. Because, it is a sequel to Joker, directed by Todd Phillips, who screwed up the Hangover sequel, so we'll see how that goes. At 8, we have Megalopolis, Francis Ford Coppola's next supposedly epic movie. This might suck. It might be a pile of garbage, but it could also be excellent. And I've heard really good things out of the screenings that they have done for executives and family and crew and whatnot. And I know that those people are biased, but still, let me get excited for a moment because, oh my God, if this means that I get to, because I'm going to Cannes, if I get to see a genuinely amazing Coppola movie, kind of live, or at least the closest thing you can get to it being live, living when it comes out, would just be incredible. And I need to be optimistic about this. Adam Driver, Shia LaBeouf, and Coppola. They're cooking. I know there's so many more people than that, but they're cooking. Next up, I have Queer, Luca Guadagnino's second movie to come out this year after Challengers. I don't have Challengers on this list. I think Challengers is going to be an absolute wild ride, but Queer, it seems like it's going to be dealing with deeper, more Oscar-y, award-baiting type of themes. Not to mention that you have Daniel Craig starring. I expect it to perform kind of similarly to Call Me By Your Name at the Oscars, if if it really gets in and if it's good. The Apprentice. I had to put it on here. We have Sebastian Stan playing Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? Like, this is cinema. When I think of movies, in just movies being magic, Nicole Kidman's speech, this is what I picture. It follows Trump's business practices in like the 70s or the 80s or around then, directed by Ali Abbasi. Also features, Mr. Kendall Roy, Jeremy Strong himself. I can't wait to see it. I think it could do really well at the Oscars. Neon always usually has one or two pretty big contenders. This would be Neon's big contender. So let's see it happen. The Fire Inside, or formerly known as Flint Strawn, is Rachel Morrison's directorial debut. If you don't know who she is, she was the cinematographer for movies like Fruitvale Station and Black Panther, and now here she is with her film directorial debut, I should say, because she has directed some TV here and there, but really the big thing that makes this movie stand out is the fact that Barry Jenkins wrote the script for this movie. Barry Jenkins, the director of Moonlight and Beale Street, and gonna be the director of Mufasa. He's done a lot of these really prestigious films, and seeing his name attached to this movie is a standout, in my opinion. It follows Clarissa T-Rex Shields, who trains and strives to become the first woman for the USA to win a boxing gold medal at the Olympics. Brian Tyree Henry plays her coach, so I expect him to have a really big role. The one picture that we have online of this film looks great. Next, we have Dune 2. One of the greatest movies of the decade so far. Really, in my opinion, it should be higher. But there are some fundamental issues with its Oscar campaign. It came out in March, and it is the middle movie of a trilogy. Could the Oscars be waiting for Dune Messiah before they give this franchise its flowers? Personally, that's kind of what I'm expecting, even though this movie is as excellent as it is. What I am hoping for are a lot of nominations. I think Timothée Chalamet would deserve a nomination, Zendaya, Javier Bardem, Rebecca Ferguson, and then most of all, Denis Villeneuve getting his director nomination because he didn't get it for the first one somehow. This movie's also going to still get all of its technical awards. Edward Berger's follow-up to All Quiet on the Western Front is not some not interesting movie. No, it is a political thriller feeling movie about cardinals electing a new pope called Conclave. It stars Ralph Fiennes and also features some big actors like Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow. This could be such a good movie, and I am really excited for this film. I would not be surprised if this won all the Oscars. Not actually all the Oscars, but if it won multiple big Oscars. Because not only is it like this political thriller, but there's this 72-hour ticking clock that is going to be running throughout this movie. And I really think that that could help with the editing, help with screenplay, help with acting, directing, with everything. I think that just time limit that they are putting on the story could be astronomical to then how good everything else has to be to make this movie work. And if this movie works, it's gonna be a huge, huge contender. Last year was the year that writers voted on movies about writers. This year is the year where actors are going to vote on movies about actors because of Sing Sing. Sing Sing is about this guy, Divine G, played by Coleman Domingo, who is wrongfully put into prison and starts this theater troupe, and they do Shakespeare. And the trailer looked really interesting. All the buzz from TIFF to South by Southwest has been amazing for this film. I can't wait to see it. I'm sure Coleman Domingo is going to give such an Oscar-worthy performance. It comes out in the middle of the summer, Really interesting release tactic there by A24, but if this film is as good as people have been saying it is, it's gonna stick with voters throughout the summer until Oscar season. And I could totally see this film making its mark in terms of like the actual voting and whatnot, and really getting into a lot of categories. I'm assuming that this is gonna be a pretty big contender. Will it win anything though? I think Colman Domingo is probably the biggest contender that this movie has to offer, but like huge contender. You know, I could totally see him winning Best Actor right now, even though I haven't seen the film. And really following up a Rustin nomination with a Sing Sing win, he'd be in such a good spot career-wise. So I really hope it happens for him, and I can't wait to see this film. Next up, I have Blitz. No, not the Jason Statham movie, the Steve McQueen one. Sorry for the confusion. Anyways, Blitz, directed by Steve McQueen, who was the director of 12 Years a Slave. But since 12 Years a Slave, McQueen directed Widows, which didn't really get a lot of love at the Oscars. However, this movie stars Saoirse Ronan. And that makes a huge difference. Saoirse really only attaches herself to prestige type of projects. So to see Saoirse attached to this film is, in my eyes, a really good sign for this movie. It's also a World War II movie, and Oppenheimer was a World War II movie, you know, so the Academy, they kind of got a thing for World War II movies right now, so let's see if Blitz can kind of bounce off of that, except now it's about the people getting bombed. It's about London when they were facing aerial bombs from Germany. So I think that this could be a fascinating film. The set photos are really all we have right now, but they look good. Costume design looks good. Saoirse Ronan looks excellent. So I have high hopes for this film. And maybe it'll end up just not really being there at the Oscars, kind of like Widows was. But for now, my fingers are crossed and I am keeping my hopes up. But anyways, what about all of you? What are your very, very early Oscar predictions? Do you think that there are any movies that I missed for this list that I wasn't thinking about? You know, just let me know. And what did you think of my predictions? You know, I want to have a conversation in the comments with you all. So please feel free to let me know your thoughts. And while you're down there, like, subscribe, do whatever you want to do as well if you want. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.